Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's MTPredictor video, I'd like to take another look at our PB or pullback trade setup with a great example that's just unfolded on the US markets this morning. But before we start, we have to remind everyone that all examples in these videos should be considered as hypothetical. No trades are actually taken, they're just shown for illustration and trading purposes only. Remind you there's a risk of loss in trading and investing. Put another way, all professional traders know and understand, but more importantly accept that losses can and will and do unfold. It doesn't matter what trading approach you take, there always will be losing trades. Right, let's have a look at the ES for this morning on a 3-minute chart. This is UK time. This is our add-ons for NinjaTrader 8. So what is our PB or pullback trade setup? You can see we have an example here. What we're looking for is a trend. You can see the market started to come down off this high here. There was a trend that came down. The market then makes a correction to that trend, and that's what we call a PB or pullback. We then look to get in at the end of that pullback to then take advantage as the trend continues. Let's place the analysis on this trade here. And you can see at our first target there, it would have been a potential 4.6R or a profit of approximately 4.5 times our initial risk. Remember that we use correct position sizing to keep our initial risk small and under control. In other words, here less than 2% on a sample $20,000 account. As with all MTPredictor trade setups, the best trade setups come in the direction of the larger degree trend. For this we use a time frame between 3 and 5 time frames higher. So if we go out to our 15-minute chart, if we go back to before this high here unfolded, we go back to our previous pivot and we right mouse click and do DP, and that places a decision point on the chart for us. These are areas that are on the chart in advance, they're leading indicators, but they're areas where we look to see whether the market is making a reversal at that particular area. So before the market even got there, we'll be looking for this area to see what the market does on the shorter time frame. So if we go back to the 3-minute chart, you can see the ES did rally back up here. It rallied up and actually made a VS or volume spike sell at that high. So you could have come into this particular trade setup down here and actually already be short on this decline coming down. And that would have been a nice trade of just over 4R as well. Notice there was a setup beforehand. It did have a history triangle, but this is where you need to place the analysis on and decide whether that history triangle was actually a loss or not. Sometimes they're quite easy to spot, like this history triangle here. If we place the analysis on, you can see that would have been an obvious losing trade. You'd have been short there, and then you would have been stopped out there. So that would have been what we call a minus 1R loss, or 1 risk unit loss. But in this particular example, if I place the analysis on, can you see how this bar here that I'm on at the moment at 10:03 UK time, opened, then went up, went below, above the previous bar's high, therefore invalidating the trade setup before it came down and would have taken you into a short trade. So in other words, this history triangle would have been no trade because it would have been invalidated by going above the previous high before it then came down and actually taking you into a short trade. So this is where you need to look at the trade setups to decide whether they're losses or not. If you're using our MTP trade module, then that would have automatically cancelled any orders for you if it had gone above the stop level, so that would have done it automatically for you. But otherwise, that would have been no trade. So just because there was a history triangle there doesn't mean to say it would have been a losing trade. But anyway, what I wanted to look at was this PB or pullback trade setup. So can you see how we're in the direction of the large degree trend? In other words, the market came up, it made a reversal off our higher time frame resistance area. The new trend established and then started to come down. We then had a correction against that new trend, and that gave us our PB or pullback trade setup. So in other words, this was in the direction of the trend, so a clear trend down, so an ideal one to take on the short side. If you're a more experienced trader, rather than coming out at the first target, what you could have done is as the market was coming into its target, which was here, you could have come down and looked at the MTP trend, and you can see it was just about hitting our strength band. In other words, it was just about on our grey bands here. If it's just about on the grey band, which it was there, you could deem that the market was what we call strong. And if it's strong, what we do is then look to trail it using our ATR stop, which is our red and blue dots. So rather than coming out at this level, you could use your ATR dots coming down to this particular low here and increasing the profit to just over 7.5 times R. So as you can see, it would have been a very nice trade indeed. So a great example this morning of our PB or pullback trade setup. We also had a very good day yesterday on particularly the NQ. So here's an example here of where again we had the trend established down, came back for our pullback. There's our PB trade setup, and this was our trade down here into our first target. Can you see here how again it was just about hitting the ATR stop there? Sorry, just about hitting the strength band as it came into the target. Therefore you could have used the ATR stop, which is the red dots down to about there. So that would have been a lovely trade at approximately 11.5 times the initial risk. So a great trade setup there. If you'd missed that, there was another short trade here, another PB or pullback trade setup that came in to this area here. But can you see as it hit the level here, can you see how it wasn't at the strength band? Can you see that? That the MTP trend was clearly well below or well short of the MTP strength band, which is our grey line there. So in this case, you wouldn't look to trail with the ATR stop, you'd look to come out at that particular target. And that would have been a nice 6.5 hour profit. Not all trades are profits. If I go back early in the day, there were some losing trades here. The first two were pullback trades, so that would have been a -1 hour loss. That would have been a -1 hour loss. And then there would have been some TS1 losses there as well. So there are losing trades. It's important to understand that. Also want to make a point that not all history triangles are losses. Can you see here there was a history triangle here a bit later in the day. If I place the analysis on, can you see how that would have never been stopped out? So even though there was a history triangle there, place the analysis on, you'd have been long, and it went up to the first target there where a nice 3.2 hour profit was available. You may have wanted to run with your ATR stop. If you had have done, that would have been a 1.5 hour profit. But either way, it would have been a profitable trade. So not all history triangles are profits. But as you can see, a good day yesterday on the NQ, and this morning an absolutely perfect example of our PB pullback trade setup on the ES this morning, where it came off the 15-minute DP resistance there to mark the high. The new trend was established down. That was our pullback into our PB sell setup. The market then came down, running with the ATR stop for just over 7.5 times the initial risk. So a lovely example of our pullback trade setup unfolding again this morning on the US markets.